Watching at Fight.tv. Once again, welcome to Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing. It is International Boxing Hall of Fame weekend here at the Turning Stone Resort and Casino in Verona, New York. We are ready for our next contest. It is in the junior middleweight division. Let's meet your fighters. Making his way to the blue corner, please welcome Lucius Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, his opponent making his way to the red corner from Huntington, New York. Please welcome Wendy Toussaint. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing presents 6 rounds in the junior middleweight division. And now introducing, fighting out of the blue corner. He's wearing the black trunks with gold trim, weighing in at 151 1/2 pounds. His record: 4 wins, 5 defeats, and 1 draw. Fighting out of Compton, New York, ladies and gentlemen, Lucius Bulldog Johnson. And now his opponent across the ring, wearing the black, white, and gold, weighing in at 152 1/2 pounds. This fighter is undefeated with 9 victories, 0 defeats, 4 wins, coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Huntington, New York. He is Joe DeGuardia, Star Boxing rising undefeated sensation. Ladies and gentlemen, the Haitian Fire, Wendy Toussaint. Your referee is Mark Nelson.
Gentlemen, you received your instructions. You know exactly what I expect. A good, clean fight. Obey my commands and protect yourself at all times. Touch him up. Good luck.
Well, Randy, here we go. Another road warrior fighting another undefeated prospect. Lucius Johnson, this will be the 7th undefeated fighter he fights. Wendy Toussaint coming off a little bit of a layoff. So we'll see how it plays out.
A tremendous athlete is Wendy Toussaint. You see the Wendy on his trunks, black trunks with frills, with the white waistband. It says Wendy. Very quick, very athletic, very hard to hit. Real defensive fighter. But he's also got a stiff right hand and an excellent jab.
Good exchange by both fighters just there. Each guy checking each other out right now.
Wendy been a little bit inactive. His last fight was close to a year ago in at the Mohegan Sun up in Uncasville, Connecticut. It was a third-round TKO over Andy Gonzalez.
Yeah, Wendy's had some injury issues, but seems to be okay.
He began his career in 2013, and there was some injuries, there was some managerial problems and everything, but he seems to have it back on track right now. He does have a lot of athletic ability and boxing talent.
And Toussaint's trying to touch him with the jab, find the range.
Now, you saw in the graphic that was put up before, it said Wendy is 30 years old. As far as I know, Wendy's 27 years old. He's a young kid. I met him when he was about 21, and he's a baby.
Yeah.
Works very, very hard in the gym.
Well, as you can see, he's very well conditioned. And Johnson has been around the street once or twice. Nothing he hasn't seen before. Been in with some very, very good fighters. Right now, each guy's boxing each other. Johnson just switched to southpaw, trying to confuse Toussaint, throw his timing off a little bit.
I once asked Wendy I said, when you fight a southpaw, does it confuse you at all? He said, no. He said, I don't mind fighting left-handers at all. He said, watch what I do with the right hand every time I fight a southpaw. So I'm waiting for that right hand now.
Well, his positioning with his feet is in the correct place as he lands a glancing blow to the head of Johnson.
I think he's getting a little over-anxious with that right hand. He usually doesn't crank up like that. And he's a very good body puncher. See how shifty he is? Watch that upper body of Wendy, how he's always moving his head.
Right now, Wendy is sizing Johnson up, trying to find out what can work for him. Oh, they just had a clash of heads. It's a decent long right hand by Toussaint.
That's the end of round number one. Wendy extends his left arm out as if to apologize for that clash of heads. I don't see any damage on either fighter.
No cuts. Wendy more or less controlled the round with his jab. Nothing of big significance landed.
There's Lucius Johnson, came in with a record of 4-5-1. But we've seen tonight what happens when a guy with a losing record comes in. Just like in the last fight. Or the less than stellar record anyway. When Alex Vanessa, who was 4-0, was stopped by a guy who came in with a record who was 5-4. So let's see if Lucius Johnson can do it tonight to 9-0, Wendy Toussaint, who I call the Guianese Python.
Russ may be a little factor with Wendy, being he's been off for almost a year. Johnson started out with a couple nice double jabs to the body.
Watch those fast hands of Wendy Toussaint. He's got very quick hands. At his best, he's going to throw a lot of combinations. But right now, I think, Ron, maybe the rust is going to keep him from throwing those combinations.
And Wendy has jumped in a couple times with his chin exposed. So he needs to be careful because Johnson certainly can exploit that. He has the experience to do that. Johnson's a little bigger physically.
Well,
Right.
Wendy is a tall. He can make welterweight. This one, they're a little bit over the welterweight division. They're fighting as technically junior middleweight.
Well, yeah, they are. You know, Johnson came in a little heavy for the fight. Their heads have come together a couple times. No damage yet, but it's something that they should watch.
Wendy's starting to open up now with the 1-2s. And he also, every time that Lucius Johnson gets close to him, he physically pushes Johnson away.
Right. Wendy is certainly the stronger. But Wendy's been a little straight up with his approach. Johnson hasn't been able to take advantage of it as he switches to southpaw once again. A little bit of a chess match going on right now.
I'd actually like for Wendy to see him get some work instead of a
Nice
quick knockout.
right hand there.
Yeah, you don't want to see a guy constantly get those first-round knockouts because you do.
Why not?
You need work. Well, you do need work.
That's work. Just
Eric,
quick work.
the hard-hitting former heavyweight contender Ernie Shavers once told me, "I wish that a lot of my first-round knockouts were 4-round decisions."
No, he doesn't.
There's Wendy with that right hand, that sweeping right hand. He threw 2 of them there. And when he's sharper, he's throwing straighter right hands than that. See, he looks to me like he's really trying to load up and end this fight. One shot.
Oh, Johnson's pretty smart. Just not very offensive-minded right now.
You're watching Star Boxing, coming to you from the Turning Stone Casino, from the event center here, which, Ron, do you think it's going to be a sellout crowd?
Oh, yeah, they have
for the main event?
One of their, I was told they have one of their bigger crowds tonight than they've had in a long, long time. They opened up the upper bowl for fans. The last couple days, tickets have been flying off the shelf.
Well, again,
obviously in conjunction with the Hall of Fame induction weekend. So, you know, they should be treated to something special in the main. And so, thus far, they've seen 2 real good fights.
Well, again, our main event tonight is going to be Zab Judah, who has won titles at 140 pounds and 147 against Cletus the Hebrew Hammer Selden. And what a division, the 140 pounds. I mean, one of my favorite fighters sits atop the division, Regis Prograis Rougarou, Josh Taylor.
Yep, there's
Jose
a lot of good
Ramirez.
fighters. Absolutely.
Just an incredible. Boxing is thick with talent, and maybe no division has more from 1 to 10 than the junior welterweights, super lightweights, 140 pounders.
And 2 of the best champions, Hooker and Ramirez, are going to hook up in Hooker's hometown of Dallas.
Can't wait for that
in a couple
fight.
months.
And then, of course, in the World Boxing Super Series, you've
Josh
got
Taylor and Regis.
You can't make a better
No,
fight
those
than
are
that.
good fights. I mean, you know, guys in their prime, willing to put it on the line.
That was maybe the best shot Lucius Johnson has landed, a straight left hand to the body, which bent over Wendy Toussaint for a moment.
Yes, it did. But again, a little bit of a chess match. Hate to repeat myself, but that's what we're watching right now. A thinking man's fight, and right now it seems that Toussaint is doing more of the thinking effectively than Johnson is.
Wendy's still looking to load up on that right hand. Watch when he throws it. He just puts something extra on it, and sometimes he gets frustrated when he throws it like that and doesn't land it.
But he's using his jab more now, which is good, trying to set something up. Because I think in his mind he knows Johnson really isn't going to come back with much. But right there, Wendy could have gone to the body with the left hook, and he didn't. He was content just to cover up. And they butted heads again. And again.
Well, neither guy has stepped back and grabbed any area, so that means more than likely, and I don't see any lumps, I don't see any cuts.
No,
thankfully.
luckily no damage has been done by the headbutts. And right now I think Wendy is content to work on his boxing ability. And he has a good opponent to do that in front of him, who's cagey, who's been around the ring, been in with some good guys.
Look at that head movement of Wendy. He was just almost daring Lucius Johnson to hit him.
Well, Lucius came in with a left-right, missed with the right.
They're talking out of each other.
Well, Wendy has been known to do that in some of his fights. Get a little over-emotional. And Johnson answers back nicely with a double left-right hand. Wendy needs to work his way in like he just did there, but needs to put punches together.
Right, that was a single jab.
A nice veteran move there, stepping to the right and throwing the left hand by Johnson. Johnson had a little better offensively this round, but still Toussaint was the winner of the round, and I have him up 3-0. Has anybody put a call into Monty Barrett?
This is Randy G., the commish, along with Ron Katz, the outstanding matchmaker for tonight's promoter, Star Boxing. And Monty Barrett, former heavyweight contender, was supposed to be joining me here today. Said he was going to be taking the 5-hour drive from New York City. Said he was going to be here. Well, Ron Katz you don't really look anything like Monty Barrett.
No, thank God. And when they told him Turning Stone, he must have thought they said Rosetta Stone, because he sure ain't here.
Or I'm wondering, did he go to the casinos maybe in another state? And here we go.
Bell for round 4.
Wendy Toussaint against Lucius Johnson. Wendy in the black trunks with the white waistband.
It's been an interesting boxing match. Both guys showing veteran moves, experience, especially Johnson. Wendy has been a little bit better offensively.
This is where Wendy actually does his best work, in the center of the ring. Now, Wendy looked down because, as you notice, Lucius Johnson is boxing as a southpaw, and he continually was stepping on Wendy's feet.
That's correct.
And he just did it again.
Well, that's the veteran trickiness of a Lucius Johnson, who's been in with some very, very good fighters. When you have a guy in like this, you can work on certain things, which Wendy is trying to do. You don't have to go for the knockout. You can be content in working on things like that, throwing a couple jabs in the right hand, scoring points, making sure you're ahead in the match. But Johnson comes back nicely.
In the last couple of years, Lucius Johnson has lost to guys like Jose Hernandez, who he fought with a 15-3 record. He fought Ferdinand Karobian with a 7-0 record. He fought Serkan Bohachuk with a 6-0 record. And he fought Andreal Holmes with a 7-0 record.
Yeah, all those guys are pretty good amateurs, too, as they bumped heads again. Wendy briefly landed a fairly good right hand moments ago. Didn't have a lot of effect on Johnson. Johnson is smiling wryly at Wendy, as Wendy loops a right hand that doesn't land. Oh, that was the best punch of the fight.
I'm not sure.
Went flying.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay. They just looked at each other, smiled at each other, and they touched gloves. It was like Wendy told referee Mark Holmes, listen, he just lost his mouthpiece. Go retrieve it.
That was the best punch of the fight. A real sharp right hand that sent the mouthpiece flying, as I stumble over my words, which I've been known to do in the past.
Wendy wants a knockout. I mean, I know Wendy from seeing him so often in the gym.
Another good left-right hand by Toussaint.
Watch him load up on the right hand.
He's feeling very confident in there right now. But Johnson is, like I said, a very slick, experienced veteran. He knows a lot of moves in there. And he's trying the best he can offensively right there.
End of round number 4. In a fight that's been entertaining, but I think that each round, if you're scoring at home, you're giving to Wendy Toussaint.
Absolutely. Johnson's doing the best he can. He's not a great offensive fighter.
But
He has a lot of experience. He's fought a lot of good fighters. And it's a good opponent for Wendy, who's coming off a long layoff. Get some of the rust off, try some different things, and learn that you don't have to knock out every opponent you fight.
Coming up is round number 5. This one is scheduled for 6 rounds in the junior middleweight division, technically junior middleweight division, because Wendy Toussaint has no problem making 147.
Well, I think he's a bit more comfortable at 154, to be honest with you. He's getting a little older. I'm sure he can make 47, but he's a strong kid. He spotted some weight here to Johnson.
Ron, how do you feel about guys basically, I'm going to use the word killing themselves to get down to weight?
Oh, big right hand by Toussaint. That's never a good thing. Toussaint's opening up a little bit in this round. Oh, another huge right hand.
Scoring repeatedly with the right hand.
But Lucius is fighting back. We'll get to your point in a minute, Randy, as the action has really picked up a little bit here.
Wendy looking for the knockout again with the right hand. Wendy looking for the right hand knockout.
But Johnson is willing and fighting back. He has a lot of heart. Guys should never, as they butt. Oh, that was a vicious headbutt.
Woo! Yeah. You could just about hear that from our ringside position.
That was a bad headbutt.
It was an unintentional headbutt. Mark Nelson looking at Lucius Johnson, asking him, how do you feel? And he can take up to 5 minutes. Let's see. They are going to give him a little bit of time.
Guys should never really kill themselves, which is not a term I like to use, to make weight. It's a very dangerous thing to do. They should fight at a comfortable weight, have good nutrition, have good people, as they butted heads again, working with them who understand how to make weight properly. That headbutt kind of ebbed the action that we were seeing earlier in the round, as both guys are taking looks at each other again right now. But as you notice, both come in and bend their head, and that's why their heads have come together numerous times. And Johnson is shooting a double right jab.
And here's where you can see the headbutt maybe a little bit more, because whenever Lucius Johnson switches to southpaw, which he had done, now he's back to right-hander.
I think Lucius is a little more effective offensively as he takes a big right hand when he is southpaw. He seems to have better balance when he fights southpaw. Another looping right hand.
Wendy threw that up from a little bit too far outside. He needs got to close that gap a little. Now Wendy's sticking his chin out, saying, come on, hit it.
And he's mugging a little, which is something that he's had a habit of doing, which he really shouldn't do. There's no reason to do that. He's in with an opponent who's trying. He's taking some shots, fighting back. Show a little more respect. I, for one, have never cared for those kind of things inside the world.
And we're heading to the bell.
Oh, a big right hand right at the bell by Toussaint.
Okay, this one is going to go to the 6th and final round on my scorecard. I've got every round to Wendy Toussaint. And you wonder, is he going to come out bombing this round, looking for that knockout? I know he wants a knockout. Randy Gordon, the commish. Randy G, the commish, along with Ron Katz. Ron, did you ever think this one was going to go 6 rounds, or into the 6th anyway?
I thought it would because, like I said earlier, more than once, Lucius is a very experienced fighter. You can see he knows all the moves, knows how to survive a little bit, and has fought some good fighters. So I thought he certainly would give Toussaint some rounds. And there's a nice left by Johnson.
Lucius came into the fight with a record of 4 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw. Hard right hand by Wendy Toussaint.
Johnson relaxed a little bit, and Wendy caught him with a right, but here the heads again almost came together.
They have butted heads around half dozen times in this fight. I cannot believe, and I'm thankful that we don't see any blood.
Because if you watch the fighters, when they become offensive and move into each other, both their heads drop. Right there, you saw a perfect example.
You're watching Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing, coming to you from the Turning Stone Casino in Oneida, New York, Verona, New York.
This is a very good learning experience for Toussaint. He's never been in with a shifty guy like Johnson before.
This is what I was saying before. You can knock out a guy in the first round, and really, what did you learn? I think Wendy is learning a lot tonight.
Absolutely, especially coming off the layoff. And Johnson is trying the best he can offensively. He can't match Wendy's offensive output, but he's showing him some very interesting defensive moves, which may help Toussaint in the future as Wendy lands a good body shot.
There was a left-right upstairs, and right hand downstairs.
Another good, two good right hands by Toussaint.
Wendy trying to close the show.
But Johnson is calling him in.
And switches up, Ron.
Johnson certainly has the mentality of a fighter. There's no quitting him, that's for sure. And he's telling Wendy, you're in with the bulldog, and he's barking at him.
And now they're talking to each other.
They're barking at each other. And the crowd certainly gets a kick out of it. You saw Wendy drop his head as Johnson came in, and there again. My God, they must have butted heads 20 times already in this fight. Johnson moves out of the way of a right hand nicely. If Johnson put a little more effort in the gym and became a little more offensive-minded, he'd be a tough out for a lot of guys. Defensively, he's very, very good. Gets hit with shots, but still knows his way around the ring.
Final seconds of this bout. As we head to the bell and an apparent decision by Wendy Toussaint. He tries to close it.
At the bell, a good right hand.
And they slap 5, they bump chests. They look like the best of friends right now. I mean, Wendy went over to the corner of his opponent. Lucius Johnson does the same thing. I think they're going to hug. Absolutely a little love fest in there.
That was a heck of a fight for Toussaint.
It was.
And Johnson earned every nickel.
A total learning experience for Wendy Toussaint, who obviously won the fight. All 6 rounds on my scorecard. And he'll move his record to 10-0. Lucius Johnson showed me a lot. He has become one of my favorite losing fighters. A record which in a few moments is going to be 4 wins, 6 losses, and 1 draw. But he fought his butt off for 6 straight rounds. And even in that final round, they were not just talking to each other, but in all my years in boxing, I have never seen this. They were actually barking at each other. Well, we are moments away from finding out, making it official. I mean, we know that Wendy is going to win the fight, unless this is the worst decision of all time, because he won all 6 rounds of the fight and basically won them pretty clearly. And we're going to have right now, the ring announcer, Joe Sicoro, they call him Jazz, is just making sure, looking at the scorecards, and he's going to have the decision for us in a moment, and I'm going to throw it up to Jazz Sicoro.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds of action, we go to your judges' scorecards. All 3 judges, Glenn Feldman, Eric Marlinski, and John McKay, score the fight 60-54 for your winner by unanimous decision, Wendy Toussaint, the Haitian Fire!
The Haitian Fire, the Guineas Python, or whatever. Wendy Toussaint, now 10-0, ends his 1-year layoff. He is back with his 10th consecutive victory, winning every single round against a very tough Lucius Johnson. We'll be back with more